excited to introduce this man to all of you because he's my personal coach. And in fact, he coaches a ton of different folks at Mind Valley. His name is Doc Barham. And because because Doc has had such a great impact on my life, I wanted to bring him here and introduce him to you. Now, Doc is a transformative coach with a raw, effective, innovative approach. He's been doing this for 15 years, has a global reputation as a cutting-edge change expert and coach for many of the world's most exceptional individuals and organizations. He's a certified master coach, clinical hypnotherapist, NLP practitioner, neurofeedback and biofeedback clinician, Reiki master, and Qigong practitioner. What it doesn't say on the bio is that he's also one of the smartest people I know. Doc has read about 40,000 books. He digests this information, and then, I can ask Doc a question on anything, and he'll instantly pull up a book or a technique and show me how to do that. Yesterday I asked him, how do I get rid of the astigmatism in my left eye? And within 10 seconds, he was recommending various books, techniques, therapies that I could try. Again, one of the smartest people I know. His list of clientele include Fortune 500 CEOs, professional athletes, entertainment celebrities, people from the Oprah Winfrey Network, Zappos.com, NASA, and many, many, many more. Every time I walk into Doc's office in close to Santa Monica in LA, I see like the most incredible people walking out, from like NBA players to best-selling authors. Doc coaches them all. And today, he's going to give you the Doc experience. So give a big, massive round of applause to Doc Barham.
Give a nice round of applause for Vishen for doing such a wonderful job, for putting Awesomeness Fest together. If you would, keep your hands going, have a seat, but keep your hands going for everybody that you've seen so far in the last 2 days. How are you guys doing? Yeah, was your break nice? Did you have a good break? Are you guys ready to have some fun? You sure? Okay, 6 of you. Are you guys ready to have a little bit of fun? Sweet. Okay. I want to move really fast because I really want to share something that I'm very, very passionate about, which is communication. So I want to ask you guys for a moment to ask yourself, what is success to you? How do you define success? So it's an individual thing, obviously, but I think what you'll find, and this is what I've found in working with people over the years, that we all tend to define success generally the same way. Most of us want to do something that we love and that we're passionate about, and it feels like something that's purposeful to us, where we're making a contribution to something even larger. Would you guys tend to agree with that? Most of us want to get paid well, right, so that we can live comfortably. Most of us want to have deep, meaningful relationships, personally, professionally, romantically, right? So these are the kinds of things that I notice people always tend to say when they talk about success. Now here's my question. Would you agree that the quality of your business is in large part, the success of your business is in large part due to the quality of your relationships? How many people would agree with that? Raise your hands. Yeah. Now, how many of you people would agree that the quality of your relationships is in large part due to the quality of your communication? Okay. Now, here's something I find really interesting. How many of you guys, of the things that you need to know in order to be successful, right? Have you ever heard the what got you here won't get you there? Right? How many of you guys really like to learn? Like really like to learn? Okay. Me too. I love to learn, right? Because then I suck less. It's really true, isn't it? I love learning because then I suck less when whatever it is, right? I used to hate selling, and then one day I had this bolt from the blue, and I was like, man, I wonder if I hate selling because I suck at it. I had like the most ridiculous insight, like, duh, right? And then I was like, oh, I wonder if I got really good at selling that I might like it. Well, the same thing is true for communication. I want to ask you guys, if you define success, and we tend to agree on the definition for success, what I want to ask you is this. How many of you guys got any real training in communication in school? Interesting, isn't it? So I work with people from all over the world, and here's what I notice in communication. What I notice is that people in conversation all the time are blowing up their relationships, breaking rapport all the time in the most unconscious ways. And it can be happening every 5, 10, 15 seconds, all kinds of different ways. How many of you guys have had a conversation where you're having the conversation with another person and there's this moment where you just feel like something's off, right? I'm going to explain why some of that is. So just to give you an example, because I believe that if you talk about something, that you should actually be able to show or demonstrate it in your life, that it's worked. So about 7 years ago, I had a very, very thriving practice. And then I got sick and I lost everything. And it was really awful because when I lost everything, I lost everything. I lost my health. I lost my sanity. I had a complete and total physical, mental breakdown. Nobody could figure out what was going on with me. I spent tens of thousands of dollars trying to figure out what was going on. I lost my business. I lost my home. I lost my car. I lost my girlfriend. I lost everything. I literally had to be placed on board of a jet and flown across the country in order to stay in the bedroom, my sister's old bedroom and the parents of my house over their garage. And I spent a half a year convalescing. And I sat in the chair crying for half a year because my whole body was spasming inside and out. All of my organs, all of my muscles, everything was like this all day. I used to play a game called Make It to the Next 5 Minutes. That's how close I was to sort of offing myself. I just couldn't take it. It was so much pain. It was so excruciating. And it was so hard because I didn't have an answer of what was wrong. So, long story short, I don't say that to impress you or anything like that, but this is what I do want to tell you is that eventually they found out what was wrong. I had a problem going on in the central nervous system with my spine. I healed it. I grabbed a $98 plane ticket and a suitcase, and I kissed my mom goodbye while she was crying, she's going to leave and go crazy again, right? Because I was like, like in your neighborhood, there's always like the one crazy kid who kind of blew himself up somehow, right? Like you're walking down the street and he's in the window like, right? That was me. I was that guy. I remember sitting up there going, I'm the guy. I can't believe this. So I grabbed the $98 plane ticket and I kissed my mom. I flew back to Los Angeles, and here's the thing. Using the skills of communication that I have learned and I've shared with other people in the last 15 hours and 20,000 hours, or the last 15 years and 20,000 hours of one-on-one work, I was able to rebuild and surpass my business that took me almost 10 years before in 18 months. That is the power of communication. Because let's face it, no man is an island, and in this world, it's very interesting in the 21st century with internet technology. We're all about traveling and being connected, and maintaining relationships is more challenging than ever before, right? How many of you guys have gotten a text message and been offended when the person was actually joking? Nobody? Just me? Right? Nobody ever got a text message and like, what an a-hole, right? Why? And they left off what? An emoticon? I want you to think about that from a communication standpoint. Text, the language you use, is only a portion of the communication quality. Vocal tonality tells you everything about the person's intention, their motivation, the emotion. That's why they put emoticons on there, because we actually communicate in multiple dimensions. Does that make sense? Let me give you one simple example. How many of you guys say, but? Try cutting that word from your vocabulary. Right? So I can't read your card. What's your name? Eduardo? Eduardo, I want you to say the sky is blue. But there's some white clouds. Okay, now, say it again, and I'm going to say, but there's some white clouds, and I just want you to stop and tell me how that feels, right? Yeah, but there's some white clouds. How does that feel? Yeah, it kind of feels like, hey, fuck you, buddy. Right? Now watch this. Say the sky is blue again. Yeah, and there's some white clouds too. Now multiply that but times how many times in a single conversation you say but. Every time you do that, did you feel that in your body? You did. It's a visceral experience. You feel the disconnection in your body. Now, what I want to do is I want to explain why. We actually, some of the latest scientific research talks about, did you guys know you have more than one brain? That's right. So, do you guys know about what's called the triune brain? Right? So, Paul MacLean is a really famous scientist and a doctor, and he did a bunch of research in the human brain. He talks about the triune brain, meaning three. Now, the outermost portion of your brain, what they call the neocortex, meaning new layer, right? That's the thing that you see in all the zombie movies that the guys are eating, the wrinkly gray shower cap part, right? They're all going like, right? Okay, that's the neocortex. That's the latest addition in evolution, right? Underneath that, think of it this way. Here's the neocortex, right? This is the limbic system. That's your monkey brain, right? So, tonight, when everybody gets really loaded and bombed, and you take the booze and you turn off your neocortex because the alcohol anesthetizes your brain from the outside in, and then you start leading with your monkey brain and going, I love you, man. Hey, you want to fuck? I'm fucking hungry, dude. I gotta crash. Right? That's why. When you drink the booze, you shut down the neocortex and you start opening up the monkey brain. That's the center of all of your emotions. Underneath that, you have what's called the reptilian brain. That's your lizard. That's called the R complex. So remember, neocortex, limbic system, R complex, reptilian brain. This is what controls things like territorial stuff, habits, rituals, these kinds of things. Now, what's really interesting is that they actually have centers in your body that they're connected to, right? The outer brain, the neocortex or the cephalic brain, right? That center is here. The limbic system is connected to another center. Guess where it is? That's right, your heart. Did you guys know I work as a trainer for the Institute of Heart Math, and did you guys know that if you take off a hunk of heart, give it to a neuroanatomist, he can't differentiate between that and brain matter? That's because it's so full of neurons. This is more than a pump, it's an organ of knowing. It's a center of perception. See, it's so funny that science is finally coming around to something that we've all known for so many years, right? Based on our own experience. I knew it in my heart. Trust your heart. These phrases come from somewhere, right? They're based on body-based experiences, right? Like with you, when I just said no, but, yes, and, you had a body-based experience. All human experience is embodied. Communication is embodied. And what I'm trying to get to is this. Most of us spend all of our time in communication up here in our head. We're like a helium balloon floating around using this part as a garbage dump, right? You have another center right here. It's called your gut brain or your belly brain. In Western medicine, they call it the enteric nervous system. So if I told everybody here to stand up and stick your finger right here about 2 inches below your belly button, you'd find there's a spot. You flex your abdominal muscles like you're doing six-pack abs, right? And then you stick your finger through the skin and through the fat, and you'd feel into the abdominal wall, and you'll feel like a little cup, like a divot or a dimple on a golf ball, and that's the seat, the center of a bunch of nerves called the enteric nervous system or the belly brain. There's a great book called The Second Brain. I highly recommend that you check it out. How many of you guys have ever known it in your gut it was the right thing to do? Right? How many of you known it was in your gut it was the wrong thing to do? Right? And your head went, what? It's the right thing to do, man. Right? So your gut is going, and your head is going, yeah, do that. Okay, we really do have three brains, and in most of us, these three brains are not very well integrated. Right? These three centers of knowing, it's very simple. This brain thinks in thoughts. This brain thinks in feelings. This brain thinks in body sensations. All of them are forms of knowing them. All of them are forms of intelligence. Does that make sense? Now here's what's really fascinating. Is Lee here? Lee Holden, is he here? Lee, you can attest to the fact that in the body, in Chinese medicine, TCM, they talk about what? 3 primary centers, correct? That's right. They call them the what? That's right. The 3 treasures, the dantian. Upper, middle, lower dantian. Right? They are very real. And the beautiful part, most people are walking around thinking that they're driving like, some crappy old car, right? Their body is like some, crappy low-level Ford, when you're driving the freaking Batmobile. Right? Your body is unbelievable what it's capable of doing. So here's what I'm trying to get to in your communication. Most people's communication is all up here, and they're really not paying conscious awareness or attention to the cues that are going on in dialogue and communication and relationship with a friend, a lover, a business person. This is the kind of thing that you need to be using more if you wish to be more successful in pitches, in meetings, in interviews, in sales, in anything like that. It's absolutely critical. I work with people in the Hollywood industry who literally go and have pitches that can turn out to be multi-million-dollar deals. And when they apply these kinds of topics, they are successful much more of the time. So here's what I want you to do. Are you guys with me? Right? I can't tell right now if you guys are like going to fall asleep or whether you guys are like, holy cow, right? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to consider that you are a multi-dimensional being. Okay? And I don't mean that figuratively, I mean that literally. You have these 3 brains for thinking, feeling, and sensing. They are in the head, the heart, and the belly. They are known as the neocortex limbic system of the R complex. And the 3 qualities that they refer to, and this is what's important: presence, heart, and being or beingness. Have you ever been with somebody who's like all up here, but you just can't feel them here, ladies? Right? What happens, ladies, when a man's here? Can you feel it? Look at all the women. Yes. What happens, ladies? That's right. How do you feel with them? Safe. And when you can't feel him here, asshole. Look at all the guys. Yeah, I got to get in my heart, man. Get out of the pants. Isn't that right? You can feel if someone is here. I want you to trust yourself. Why? Because you need to start trusting yourself more, because trust is the absolute foundation of all communication. In neurolinguistic programming, they call it rapport. It's trust, right? When someone can't feel you here, there is not going to be trust. Now, how many of you knew that your heart generates an electromagnetic field? Pretty cool, huh? Yeah. How many of you knew that it was 5,000 times more powerful than the one that your bean generates? Now, guess what the waveform of the electromagnetic field generated by your heart looks like if you're really angry or upset or afraid or anything like that? Okay? Now, how many of you guys ever walked into a room, the two people just had an argument, they're not saying a word to each other, you're like, hey, what's up? Okay. Why? Because the tension is so thick you could... That's right. Where do you think that comes from? A felt experience, isn't it? You can feel it. It's embodied. It's a communication. Pay attention to it. How much in your conversations are you not paying attention to these kinds of things that you're doing unconsciously? You may be saying one thing here, but maybe you're saying a different thing here and a totally different thing here. You need to get Larry, Moe, and Curly on the same page. So when someone has a tremendous presence, that's because they're very much in their upper dantian and their head center, right? What do we say? Oh, he's brilliant. See? We know it. It's because this is very lit up. When someone's here, how many people could feel Jeff in your seat? That's a living fact. Your direct embodied experience demonstrates you could feel him from the stage. Did you know that that field, when a human being is in a space of love, that electromagnetic field is measured as far as 15 feet in diameter? Guess what the waveform looks like? Anybody had a grandma they used to sit with and it was like sitting next to a fire? Like a warm fire when you used to sit with her, grandma or grandpa? That's because they're sitting in a space of unconditional love. And the electromagnetic field that their body is generating is actually entraining your electromagnetic field and consequently your entire nervous system. So it's really cool. We can talk about love and the power of love, but as Westerners, we have this real left brain kind of thing that we get educated in, and I find that these are very powerful ways to give us permission to kind of do and be what we already know. Does that make sense? Right? Now, what happens when the electromagnetic field of the heart, what happens to it when you get upset? It implodes down in upon itself. So, this center here, the lower dantian, the being center, this is the center of your being. Okay? In spirituality, this is the center of consciousness. This is the center of your soul. And this is your being. Because you are literally a multidimensional being. Don't believe me? Check it out for yourself. It's your Batmobile. Right? Now imagine the quality of your communication, what it could be like if you were to begin to awaken these centers, to become conscious in these centers, right? What you find in meditation, in deep meditation, is that the three centers that we're talking about also relate to three literal dimensions. Spiritual scripture talks about the dimension of presence and the dimension of pure awareness. This is the dimension of the divine. Your soul rests with Creator, known as the Beloved, the aspect of Creator known as the Beloved, in the divine, the dimension of the divine. And the dimension of the absolute is accessed through here, the lower dantian, which is the dimension of your being or beingness. Now, think about this. What's the difference between the three? This is about your purpose. This is about your passion. This is about your power. Does that make sense? Why? Because it's about the three V's. Your purpose comes from your vision. Your passion, literally, is guided by your values. And your power comes from your vitality or your vital life force. So what I want you to consider, you can have a kind of experience, and I want you guys to practice while you're here. And if I'm here, come up to me and ask me questions going, dude, I have no idea what the hell you were talking about. Could you explain it to me? Or say, hey, that was totally awesome. What about this? Whatever. I absolutely love this stuff. Why? Because I used to suck at communication. For real. I literally have become an award-winning speaker for the National Speakers Association, and when I was a little boy, I used to talk like this. I had to go through years of myofunctional therapy. Anything you want to be good at life, it's really simple. Just learn and practice. Okay, let me give you one example. This is a very, very simple thing you can do. If you want to connect in the presence center, right? Do not look at someone like this. It's a little bit difficult with the distance, but you see how my eyes are kind of shifting back and forth like this? Okay, usually we're only a few feet away from one another in conversation, and how does this make you feel when someone's doing this? What do they call them? Shifty-eyed. Hey, I want to open up my wallet and give all my money to Shifty-eyed. I can't wait to do a risky multi-million-dollar deal with Shifty-Eye. Okay, I used to work as both a professional stand-up comedian and I used to be known as America's fastest stage hypnotist. Now, one of the things about hypnosis is that it's really easy. And it's really real. And you can mesmerize people in your conversation, in your communication. You can entrance them. And it's incredibly simple. You can start with looking into one of their eyes. Right eye to right eye. Who would be interested in perhaps coming up? Yeah, there we go. I love the arms that shoot. Love that. Come on up. Give her a nice round of applause, guys. Cindy? Great. Okay. Now, I'm going to get at a little bit of an angle here, but Cindy, what I want you to do is this. I want you to tell me how you feel. I'm just going to look at you, okay? So, when I am, thank you. Huh? No, I think she's old enough to hold it now. That's such a dick. I'm such a jerk. Guys, just trying to help. Okay, all I want you to do is, okay, see what I'm doing? Mm-hmm. And how does that make you feel? Nervous. Yeah, did you hear that? What did she say? Nervous. Me, I made her feel nervous. How many of you guys perhaps do this unconsciously and then wonder why the person turns into a big crackhead in front of you? Huh? And then you walk away going, that guy. Right? This is what I'm saying. In NLP, one of the presuppositions is the quality of your communication is the response you get. How many of you take responsibility for your communication? How many of you go, that guy, and blame the other person? As a hypnotist, the number one thing that you have to do is have someone trust you. Trust is not an airy-fairy thing, right? It's not like, ooh, trust, right? This is what here's the thing. I really have no tolerance for a lot of the airy-fairy New Age stuff that isn't grounded in reality. Because we're human beings, and this Batmobile that we're driving is how we know everything, right? And the more you get in it, the more you can turn on the smoke screen and the oil jets and the flamethrowers and all that kind of stuff and have fun. Watch. Now, if I look at you with my right eye to your right eye, and I relax the eyelid of my right eye, and I soften my gaze, and what do you notice about that?
I feel more comfortable.
Uh-huh. And what else do you notice about how you feel comfortable?
I'm gazing into your soul.
Ah. How does it feel? Feel safer?
Calmer.
Yeah, calmer? Mm-hmm. You feel more like I'm open to you, I'm available to you?
Mm-hmm.
You feel more like you're being heard?
Yes.
Right. And how does that feel? Right? So if you notice, did any of you see that? I said, do you feel more like you're being heard? And she went, yes. Every human being, what they want is to just feel heard. What I find is, I love doing business, but sometimes so many of us are so busy trying to do business that we forget there's another soul right here. And if you do business with another soul, you're going to do an entirely different business, right, than if you're just doing it with somebody else. So, now, how do you think you might be able to use this in your own relationships? Something simple, just like looking in their eye and softening your gaze. Just in your life in general.
Just maybe listening better to other people and also hearing, exactly what they're saying and not being distracted by what's going on up here.
Yeah, that's a really big one. Cool. So would you be willing to do that with more people here while you're here? Would you be willing to practice?
Yeah.
Who'd be willing to practice with her while she's here? Thank you. Give her a round of applause. Here's what we're going to do. Turn to the person next to you. What I want you to do is I want you to be ones and twos, right? So pick a partner, ones and twos. It's really simple. The first time, I want you to look at each other like that with your shaky eye. I want you to both report to each other how it makes you feel when you see the other person looking at you like that. That's so that you can then do it the second time in contrast. So, what do? You look into one eye, use a soft gaze, relax your eyelids, and blink less. Go ahead and have fun with that. Ah, great. Getting a little sweaty? Yeah. Can I give this to you? Do you want me to? There's probably going to be some other people who come up. You want me to just leave it here? Yeah, okay. Can I give you that? Thanks. See if you can really soften that gaze. Feel what happens to your thoughts and your body. Okay, great. If you guys can wrap up now, say thank you to your partner, and turn back front. Who liked that? How many of you think that goes well with Jeff's hug? Who'd like to share what they experienced, what the difference was? Anybody? Yes. Yeah.
Well, me and Doc were saying that immediately after we started looking at each other, it was actually even harder to do the awkwardness.
Uh-huh.
We were saying that, I guess in this case, it was so easy for me to connect with him, and we had many chats before that to the point that when we're talking, we're just really talking. So, in him, I noticed that he was actually making an effort to make it uncomfortable. He was really comfortable being just that, the gazing into each other.
Good, good. Let me ask you a question really quickly, guys. How many of you notice a kind of palpable quality or energy, right, between the two of you? That was not there when your eyes were broken, right? Your eye gazing was broken, and when it was there. So I want you to consider that what's actually happening, the term entrainment is actually a phenomenon that goes throughout all of the universe, right? So if I yawn, what do? Right. Okay. You ever sitting in a restaurant somewhere and you're talking to your friend and you're like, yeah, and that's when we went to the horse track and I bet on the wrong horse, and there's music playing over the PA system and you're doing what with your foot? Why is that? Because there's a beat and your nervous system is in training to it, your subconscious mind, right? It's a kind of tacit learning, right? How many of you guys have ever, say, like, been doing something like you're walking in a store and you're like texting, and then all of a sudden you start going, do 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 do, and it's over the PA system, right? So there's all kinds of communication that's going on non-verbally, non-physically, informationally all the time. That's what we're pointing to. And I want you to pay attention to the feeling, sensing quality. Because remember, this is feeling and this is sensing, right? This is one of the most powerful ways that I know to generate trust and keep someone's attention. How many of you guys noticed that you got a little bit of a, when you saw that person was looking at you with the unblinking gaze that was kind of soft? By the way, don't do the stalker stare, like the, right? Particularly guys, right? Right? When it's like you're pinning them to the wall, like, whack. Right? Soft. How many of you, when you saw and felt the soft gaze, you were inside, you're like, ee. Right? Yay, I feel heard. Right? How many of you noticed that when you were going right eye to right eye, or left eye to left eye, whichever, same eye, did you notice that a lot of your chatter quieted down? Okay? Because listening is unbelievably important. So don't get upset, ladies, but one of the things that I learned very early on in dating, right, is I love to go to restaurants and watch people on a first date, because you watch the guy, and the guy, he always wants to impress, so he won't shut his pie hole, right? He's like, and then I did this, and then I did that, and then I did this, and enough about me. What do you think of me? Right? And she's like in her head going, oh my God. I have to pee. I am so out of here. What are you doing? I'm totally out of here. Right? Want to get the ladies, guys? Here's what you do. Let the cut under your nose heal. Shut your freaking pie hole. Listen. Okay, here's what listening isn't. Okay, listening is not this. Man, I got to remember this thought because it's a really good thought. And when that person shuts up, I'm going to totally share this really good thought. What, you guys don't know what I'm talking about? You can see it in a person's eyes. People, you can see it in their eyes when they're thinking. You're like, hello. Right? Guys, if you will listen, here's what will happen. You'll go, uh-huh, uh-huh, yeah, uh-huh. Now, you got to be real. You can't be a cheesel. But then she'll go, blah, 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 mm-hmm, mm-hmm, blah, 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 mm-hmm, oh, yeah, yeah, blah, 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 blah. You're the most interesting person. Magic. Look at all the guys are now like, dude, I get to shut up and be interesting? Guys are lazy. So what I'm saying is there's so much going on in the communication. We have the right eye to right eye. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to look at this really closely, this short video from Heart Math, very, very quickly. Can you guys cue that up? Is that okay? Thank you. And this is about a minute long, and it's about the electromagnetic field that's generated by the heart. And what I'd like you to do while you're here in this lovely place is I'd like you to work on feeling the presence of another person right here at their middle dantian in their heart center.
Over the past 18 years, our research center has investigated heart-brain interactions, how the heart and the brain communicate with each other, and how that affects consciousness and our perceptions. One of the things we identified in our research was the state we now call coherence. And what we found was that when we're feeling positive emotions, like we're really appreciating the sunset, or really feeling love or compassion or care for someone, that the heart beats out a very different message. The heart generates by far the largest rhythmic electromagnetic field produced in the body. And what we've now found is that if we look at the spectrum analysis of the magnetic field radiated by the heart, that emotional information is actually encoded and modulating into those fields. So by learning to shift our emotions, that's changing the information we're encoding into the magnetic fields radiated by the heart, and that can impact those around us. We are fundamentally and deeply interconnected with each other and the planet itself. And what we do individually really does count and matters.
Pretty cool, huh? So, we want to have a felt experience of that, right? So here's what I want you to do. Do you guys want to have a felt experience? Want to feel your own energy, your own life force? Okay? Put your hands out in front of you like this. Okay? Now pull your hands apart. Actually, you can smack them together if you want. Right? Stick your teeth out in front like, you know, it hurt. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, now pull your hands apart. Now relax your hands. Switch off your left brain. Stop thinking. Put your awareness, just put your attention between your hands. Just feel. Don't think about feeling. Just feel. And now, very gently pull your hands apart a little teeny bit and push them back together. And you feel that buzzy tingling sensation between your hands right there? Yes, that's really happening. That's not a suggestion. Now, for some of you, if you roll your hands a little bit like this and you feel in the palms, you'll feel magnets, like a magnetic pushing. Feel that? That's right. That's because your body has a polarity like a battery. And here, you have what are called chakras in your hands. Your whole body is this multidimensional being of consciousness and energy, and this is in you and all around you. And when you go see someone like a Qigong master, what they do is help to recharge your battery. And this is what you can give to other people, but you want to learn how to do it without draining yourself in the process. Does this make sense? Okay, for those of you who haven't felt it yet, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to think about someone that you really love. And as you really see that person in your mind's eye and you feel how they make you feel when you're with them, you hear the sound of their voice and how that makes you feel. What do you notice happening in that space between your hands? Like some people got their hands like this big now. You feel it getting bigger, warmer, right? Now, think about someone you really dislike. Come on. Think about that person you really don't like. Right? Really feel how they make you feel. See them in your mind's eye and hear the sound of their voice and how that just feels awful. What's happening between your hands? Yeah, just feel like it just dropped out and got empty, went like a vacuum and just went through. Okay. If you can feel it between your hands, I guarantee you the person who's next to you can feel it too. So what I want you to do is this. Put your hand here, okay? And I just want you to feel, do not think, just feel for whatever you feel. Don't put your awareness at your skin, okay? Put it out in front, between your palm and your forehead. And I just want you to feel here. And how many of you feel kind of like a warmth or a tingly, or you feel that? Right. Now, put your awareness here. Put your hand here. Don't try so hard. Here's why. Because it's already there. So it would be like going, I want you to look at your right arm. If I look away, it'll disappear. Okay? It's effortless because it's already there. You don't have to make anything. I'm simply asking you to tune in to what already is extant, which is there. How many of you feel this? It's a pretty heartfelt bunch, so it wouldn't surprise me. You guys feel it? Okay, now watch. What I'd like you to do is bring your awareness up, shift it up into your head, and feel what happens here. Just get out of your heart. I know a lot of the ladies are like, how do I do that? A lot of the guys are like, oh, good. That was really uncomfortable. So what do you notice? Do you feel that at all? That's right. Fascinating, isn't it? Amazing. It may get sort of soft or cold or flat or, right? Now, place your awareness up here. Bring all your awareness up into your head. Feel there. Now drop down to your heart. Shift your awareness. Leave your hand up. Shift your awareness. Just shift your attention to the center of your chest. Actually, just behind your sternum. Some of you can probably see it with your mind's eye. It actually looks like a little glowing orb back there, middle dantian, like a ball of light. And feel how this is different when you move down there. If you shift your awareness down to your chest, you can feel it. Good. So now what I want you to do, I want you guys to turn to one another, and I want you to literally practice, men and women, all right? Practice shifting while you talk to the person, being here versus being here. And I want you to notice what happens to your feelings, to the other person's reaction, right? The kind of words, the quality of communication. Notice the subtle things that happen if you are here and communicate versus here and communicate. Does that make sense? So, ones and twos, one person, start at the head, move down to the heart. Give them twos, give them feedback, and then switch. Make sense? You all feel that? It's really something, isn't it? It's like, whoa. Be sure to remember, look with your right eye into their right eye. Oh. Okay, take just a minute to kind of wrap up. Tell your partner thank you. And go ahead after you tell your partner thank you and begin to turn up here to the front. Good job. So we only have about 10 minutes left for the whole presentation, so if you guys could turn forward. Would you guys mind sharing? Would you two mind standing up and sharing? Come on, would you? Can you? Thanks. Hey guys, listen up. What are your names, ladies? Can you?
Yep. Is this on? Hey guys, we're going to share here up here.
Yeah.
If you guys could just say your names before you tell us about.
I'm Kathy Lumsden.
Sandy?
You want us to
Can you,
stand up?
Sandy, can you stand up too? So I watched many of you. What's your name too, by the way, sweetie? Yeah, right, you, the one who's. Yes, ma'am.
Joanne Badeau.
Good. I'd like you to share in just a second too. I watched a number of you had a very, very profound experience. Can you guys share what it was like?
Well, it was amazing because both of us, when we dropped into our hearts, tears came to our eyes.
How many of you began to have that? That is how powerful it is when you are here. You literally touch another person. What else did you guys notice?
For me, I really noticed that very first exercise you did when you said put your hands together. And I've done that so many times before. I've learnt heart math. I've done everything. I know it all. But when you said stop thinking,
Right.
just feel, that's what did it for me.
Yeah,
and
it makes all the
that's what allowed
difference.
me to do that exercise, to actually feel.
Yep.
And as you said, the moment we dropped into our hearts, we both just teared up.
That's awesome. Can you give them a nice little round of applause? See, the reason that I bring this up is because, our planet in many ways is in a pretty bad way. And it's going to take the concerted, long-term effort of many, many, many people working together in very, very challenging, complex situations and being able to manage a lot of things like stress, complexity, right? Shared vision, mission, in order to kind of help be able to get the planet back on track. And there just isn't any way it's going to happen from here alone. It will never happen. I'm sorry. It's just... Could you share a little bit?
Both of us, maybe. What I loved is when we did the heart piece, we were beyond the words, and I felt a much deeper connection with that. I can tell you, when I went into the heart, though, the sequence that I had is, you are beautiful. I love this conference. I love life. And it just gets us there.
Nice. Thank you very much. So if this center is about presence, when you are mind to mind, you can share your brilliance and creativity. And there is synergy. What this is really about is these three centers, when they are awake and aware and activated and functioning, you will experience the coveted flow state much more frequently. Because you do not just live here, even though Western society would like to educate you and condition you to do that. But you're leaving out 2/3 of your brain, so to speak, right? So we need, if you want to be heart to heart, that's great. How many of you people have ever noticed this is really wonderful, but sometimes we got to get shit done, right? I don't mean to disparage, but I mean we need all three centers, right? We need the presence for the brilliance and the creativity. We need the heart, right, for the soulfulness and to do the right thing and not harm ourselves, others, or our world. And do things for the long term, not for the short term and go, grandkids will take care of it. And we also need vitality and beingness and power in order to make it sustainable, because these kinds of changes are not easy, right? There's a couple different ways of doing business, in my opinion. One of them is have fun, really love the people that you work with and be of service with them and grow together with them over the course of your life. Or you could be a little bit more like everybody's kind of a meal ticket and you kind of get, right, you're going to get their money and extra, that kind of way. That's really old school, and it's really time for a 21st century change. And this kind of communication is what allows it to happen. You guys are all going to leave and you're going to go out of here. I hope that you'll practice with one another between now and when you depart, and then so that you can get really good and feel comfortable, so that when you go, right, you know, the picture of the earth with all the lines of the planes going out like that, so that you take it out into the world and you go do it to everybody and watch what happens. There's many, many, many more things that you can learn. For example, we talked about listening. If you ever have difficulty listening, here's what I want you to do. Place your awareness here, just below your belly button and inside. Lee, would you mind standing up and talking 60 seconds about the lower dantian and that center? Because I'm sure you've taught this many times. Give him a nice round of applause.
I love what you're doing with NLP and Qi. It's this brilliant combination.
Thanks.
And you know what we'll do a little bit tomorrow too is dive into this flow state that you're talking about and power up the energy. And I mean, it's perfect segue into what I'll be doing. Lower dantian, like the second brain, this power center. It's the center of your energy, your Qi, and it's I think what we're looking for when we're wanting to be present is to be connected to this place, this earth center. It brings this center into the moment. And so when we can root and stabilize our mind into this lower dantian center, then we're actually here. Then we can be effective, we can be in the moment. And when we can drop the heart center into this one, then we can be in love with the moment. We can enjoy the moment. So I think this is a extremely powerful center where we can feel here, present, and connected.
Awesome. You are a multidimensional being with different ways of knowing, different kinds of intelligences. These brains are part of different bodies, right? People talk about a physical body, a mental body, an emotional body, a causal body. These are very real. It doesn't need to be discussed like, no, science is not going to be able to prove it today, but it is something you can discover on your own if you're willing to do the work, and it's the best thing in the whole world because that's where evolution is headed anyway. So get a head start. Now, what I want to show you is this. If you want to see what real mastery of this energy looks like, right? Can you play that really quick video of Master Joe?
Okay.
Let's take another look in slow motion.
That's my teacher. He lives in Los Angeles, and I'm in Suite 301, and he's in Suite 309. Looks pretty good for 80 years old. He's a master of Tai Chi, Qigong, Pagua, and Shaolin Kung Fu. He's been studying since the age of 7. And man, was I a punk when I met him. And he's the dearest, sweetest man. But I've learned so much from him in conjunction with what I've learned about hypnosis and about NLP and about combining them together to see how they all dovetail together so that we as people can learn and grow and become really, really wonderful at what? Communication, enhancing our communication, because it can become deeper, richer, more fulfilling, more meaningful, and greater things can happen if you are in your power, you are open-hearted and in your soul, and you are in your brilliance in your present center. And if you guys enjoyed this, I would love to enjoy sharing more with you afterwards, or we'll do more in the next presentation in a couple of days. Thank you guys very much. I hope this was helpful.